Good evening, I'm Nick Owen. A gamekeeper's facing jail after pleading guilty to setting illegal traps, killing protected birds of prey. His crimes were only revealed after two other keepers working with him came forward and blew the whistle on what was going on. Here's our environment correspondent, David Gregory.
This secret night vision video was shot by the RSPB, investigating allegations that gamekeepers were trapping and killing birds of prey in order to protect partridges and pheasants being reared for shoots on the 6,000-acre Kempton estate near Bishop's Castle in Shropshire. When a buzzard perches on top of this pole, the steel trap is triggered, killing the bird. Using traps like this has been illegal since 1904. At Telford Magistrates Court, Roger Venton pleaded guilty to setting pole traps. He was brought to justice after two co-workers, fellow gamekeepers, blew the whistle on what was going on.
I was employed as an underkeeper on the Kempton estate, and I was asked by the head gamekeeper to kill birds of prey, buzzards, and I didn't, hence why I'm here today giving evidence against Roger Venton, the gamekeeper.
Venton also pleaded guilty to allowing another junior keeper under him, 19-year-old Carl Burden, to kill buzzards and badgers. Burden was given a 6-month suspended jail sentence in September. Venton will be sentenced in the new year, but Judge Cochrane told him he couldn't rule out giving him a custodial sentence. That could be up to a maximum of 6 months in prison. The RSPB wants more gamekeepers to come forward if they know of problems.
On the back of this case, the RSPB today has launched a hotline for other people who witness crimes against birds of prey, for them to come forward in complete confidence to report this to us, and hopefully by working with other gamekeepers like the gamekeepers here, we can rid the world of persecution of birds of prey.
David Gregory, BBC News Today, Telford Magistrates Court.
There have been big problems on the roads in North Worcestershire this evening after a pile-up on the M5 earlier. 2 lorries, a car and a van were involved. One motorist was airlifted to hospital with severe head injuries. The M5 and the M42, which is also affected, have now been cleared. One of Gloucester's biggest employers has announced it's closing down with the loss of 450 jobs. The food company Wincanton says it's closing its site in the city because it can't meet the demands of customers. Steve Nibbs reports.
There was no sign of a failing company today. The wagons were still rolling. But the problem here is that it isn't really a failing company. 2 weeks ago, Wincanton announced that another firm, Kalina, will be taking a majority share of the Gloucester site. Now, all of a sudden, both companies have agreed that the operation here just isn't fit for its new purpose, saying that the resources in Gloucester just won't meet the demands of its customers. How are people feeling inside?
It's obviously very sad for being all these years and losing their jobs.
As you do.
Definitely.
Surprisingly, there was no reaction from the union Usdaw today. They say they're still waiting on talks with management before saying anything publicly. But just weeks before Christmas and in the middle of an economic downturn, the news of massive job losses has sent a shiver down the spine of the city.
We're obviously very sad. It's very difficult. It's a very difficult time for everybody. And to have a major employer announcing job losses, albeit they don't come into effect until April, is still obviously really sad for the people working here.
What's irking staff here as well is that the company is gearing up for one of its busiest times of the year. With Christmas on the way, they work 24 hours a day and 7 days a week, delivering frozen food to supermarkets around the country.
A convicted bigamist who went on the run before his trial has given himself up to the police. Former church minister Roderick Sangster walked into a police station in the south of England. He's due to be sentenced on Friday at Warwick Crown Court. 4 men who are part of a drugs gang have been ordered to pay back more than £2 million. Keith Jeremy, John Pollard, Martin Askew and David Loon, all from the Midlands, were sentenced last year for their part in a cocaine and cannabis smuggling ring. West Midlands Police confiscated more than 300 kilos of the drugs, which had an estimated street value of £30 million. All wards at Worcestershire Royal Hospital have been closed to visitors after several outbreaks of the winter vomiting bug norovirus. The hospital has also postponed some non-urgent elective surgery. People with outpatient appointments are advised to attend as long as they haven't suffered from diarrhoea or vomiting in the last 48 hours. A Warwickshire coal mine has broken a record by producing 3 million tonnes of coal in the last year. Dormill Colliery is one of just 6 working pits in the country. It employs nearly 700 miners, and it's taken on another 35 this year. Here's Bob Hockenhull.
Down there, nestling in the Warwickshire countryside, is a coal mine. Now, you might think it's a relic of the past, but the miners who still work there tell a very different story. 60 years ago, there were 1,000 working pits in Britain. Today, there's just 6. Door Mill Colliery in Warwickshire is one of the survivors. Today, the miners there were in celebratory mood. They've mined 3 million tonnes here this year, putting them on target to achieve the highest annual output in UK history.
I could go sort of 10, 15 miles away from here, and people ask me where I work, and I say coal mine, Door Mill. Where's that? They haven't got a clue that we exist, even though we are the biggest in Europe.
680 miners still work here. 35 were taken on this year, after the first recruiting drive for skilled miners in 24 years.
Didn't expect to be here, as my dad and my stepdad all both work for UK Coal. My dad left about 15 years ago. I didn't expect it to still be going, but it's going strong at the moment, so I'm happy to be a part of it.
My dad's worked down here. My granddad broke his back down here, and just want a future for my son and my family to work down here.
Down below, a 20-mile labyrinth of tunnels stretching to the M6 and beyond. At least 40 million tonnes still to be exploited. The coal's used at Ratcliffe Power Station near Nottingham.
We have got the technology now to burn it cleanly, and what you must understand is that without coal, 3 million people within this locality would possibly be without electricity.
It's still dangerous. There's been 3 deaths from accidents at Door Mill in the last 2 years. But for these men, it's a way of life they hope will survive for decades to come. Bob Hockenhull, BBC Midlands Today.
And while Door Mill goes from strength to strength, it's been the end of an era spanning nearly 140 years for one manufacturing company. The last vehicle rolled off the production line at JCB's heavy products factory in the centre of Uttoxeter. The digger firm's moving manufacturing to a multi-million-pound new factory out of town. That's all from the Late Team Newsnight, starting over on BBC Two. From all of us here, a very good night. Bye-bye.